Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Evan again. Wanted to go over a 2 a.m. update real quick. I added more things this time, and I'm also going to try to use my little on-screen pin that I have. So we'll see how it goes. If it's too distracting, I'm going to get rid of it. Anyway, Irma is now what I believe is a Category 1 or 2. The max sustained winds are at 85 miles an hour, and it's finally moving a little bit more towards the northwest like they thought it was at 15 miles an hour. Um, so it'll be a tropical storm about the time it crosses into Georgia, and when it crosses over Columbus, should be at a 25 knot sustain and 30 miles an hour. Excuse me, that was just 25 knots, 30 miles an hour sustain. A little tired. Anyway, I'll move on. Here's the observed surface plot. For those of you who don't know, those are wind barbs. They're measured in knots. So the little flag you see over Tampa's, it counts for 50 knots, and half bars 5, and the full bars 10. So for the most part, you're seeing 50, 45 knots sustained, but that's just as far as the observing stations go. This doesn't measure gusts. You can tell that you're starting to see the onshore flow over South Florida, near Venice and Sarasota, the Keys. I think that's a big thing, is now that the Keys are getting that onshore flow. When the hurricane was first coming through, all the water got pushed back towards sea. So when this thing tracks north, it'll and the wind switch, it'll push all the water right back up. So I'm thinking Miami should have crested by now, but anywhere around Tampa, Sarasota to Naples, I doubt they have their crest yet for their max water height, which I'm seeing a lot of things right now. It's pretty bad. The Key West wasn't too bad apparently, but the Middle Keys and Key Largo was just absolutely destroyed. It's terrible. Someone actually died at a shelter. I think it was in the Keys. Here's a Ghost 13 East satellite loop. This is called the Funk Top, so it's a good measurement for precipitation. Your legends down there at the bottom. I know it's probably confusing at first, but just the red and the brighter red is where your strongest precip is. And as you get into the green, which we're not seeing with Irma, but you can see it with Jose over there. And by the way, which no one has any idea what he's going to do. Looks like he's weakening actually, but you could see that green what I'm talking about. So right now Irma's catching a lot of northwesterly, I guess you could call it southwesterly wind shear coming up through. I guess I try to use my pen now actually. Let's see how this thing works. Okay, so most of the shears come in this way, and the track for Jose is something like that. And here you have your cold front. It looks like it's decaying, to be honest. And your low, that's the wrong color, but you get what I'm saying. And over here you have some high pressure. Now, I didn't post any upper level charts, but there's some dry air intrusion coming down through this way. It looked like a branch of the polar front jet had broken off, and that's what caused this whole mess right here with no one had any idea where it was going to go really, is because this little shortwave trough associated with the polar front jet kind of broke off and came down through here, and it kind of just did its own thing. And now it's getting into Irma. I think that's that sounds good as far as a hurricane forecast goes. It's going to cause the hurricane to degrade faster, and as you could see, the winds up there at 48 hours when it was going into Columbus are 25 knots. People are like, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, the thing is as this storm tracks this way, as well, it's a terrible arrow. Okay, as the storm tracks to the north, all this dry air is going to cause it to be more of a mid-latitude cyclone. So imagine like a warm front, I guess you could call this, but not really. It's not really that yet. It's kind of like a mixture of both, but it's going to cause the rain to be a lot heavier, and the winds are going to be more gusty than sustained. That's what I'm thinking for the most part. But okay. Let's see. See if there's anything I missed. No, that's about it. Okay, so here's the radar. It's a I know it says 1 kilometer down there at the bottom. It's not. It's 2 kilometers. That band, it looks like the strongest band is just now moving through like St. John's, Duval County, and it's getting into southern Georgia. I think they've already got a band coming through now, and that's a big deal for them. They're going to get a lot of rain, and flooding is going to be a huge deal over there. But they've already had multiple tornadoes, like the tornadoes that are coming through South Georgia right now. Let's get this out. Well, clear screen. There we go. Okay, this app isn't so bad. Mostly right here. Yeah. Okay, so right there is where you're seeing most of your tornadic activity. All through here you saw tornadoes everywhere. I mean, my God, honestly, when I was looking at the Jacksonville radar in Florida, I have not seen so many tornadoes in one radar loop. I'm not kidding. It was more than Harvey. It was absolutely incredible. The eye, or what used to be the eye and the eye wall, is kind of like right here, is just now moving this way, and it looks like it went through Orlando, so that's going to be interesting to see how Disney World plays out. I think what's neat, you can see this on the radar, is you can kind of see the dry air cause like a mesoscale cold front right here. That's pretty interesting. And good thing is all that bad convection is staying off the coast, so that should help out Florida a lot. So as this tracks to the north towards us, and you can already see where this the convection's starting to get into Georgia right here. I mean, this is just the beginning, guys. I have a feeling this is going to get bad, because if you think about it, Atlanta is literally the city inside of a forest. Georgia has so many trees, and with the winds we're going to have a lot of power outages. We're going to have a lot of flooding. It's going to be localized. It's not going to be rampant like you saw in Port Arthur in Texas with Harvey, but nonetheless, it's going to be bad. All right, let's move on. So here's the 0Z model guidance. I don't know what that guy down, you can see that weird track has it going back into the Gulf and then moving back to the north again. Just ignore him. I think he's drunk or something. But models are in perfect agreement what's going to happen. They're tracking up through southwest Georgia, through Columbus, through Birmingham, and for the most part, I guess it does look like it's going to catch that catch the polar front jet for the most part and eject itself towards the northeast. After that, it should have already rained itself out, and it won't be a big deal. But my biggest concern is the speed. How much is this thing going to slow down by the time it gets to West Tennessee? It's going to have a huge synoptic scale impact as far as the weather goes for the Panhandle of Florida and the Gulf, because you might see a lot of that. Let's see, get a good color. Use black. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of this wind come around back this way, and it's going to cause a lot of onshore flow. So what's bad is that these places that already got flooded, you know, poor people, I mean, good grief. You're going to see, not only you're going to see like sea breeze thunderstorms pop up, because you know hurricanes don't have fronts, so it's like this is like a big bug, you know, transportation ferry, and it's going to bring all that tropical air right back up with it. So you're going to see thunderstorms pop up here, and then you're going to see probably, you know, you're not going to see like flooding like you did with the hurricane coming through, but the fact that the waters aren't going to back down anymore, you know, than they should like normal, it might be a concern. Just something to keep your eye out on. Over here to the right is intensity. I don't know why some of those still have it category 1 hurricane by the time it's still in Alabama. It doesn't make any sense to me at all, but you can tell that the ones that are towards the bottom, you know, where you have your tightest group of model guidance, is pretty standard. You know, it doesn't really matter at this point when it gets to how strong it is there. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal how strong it is anymore, now that it's on land and it's becoming more of a you know, westerly feature and not so much tropicals. Okay, so on the left is the HRR model, and I told you guys I was going to get this, you know, as it was the initialization came in for Georgia, and you can tell that it's in agreement for the most part with the NAM nest, the high res NAM over on the right. You know, you can clearly tell that the, you know, the preset placement's different, but the mounts are about the same. I want you to take note of you know, northern Georgia, so it doesn't look like you're getting a lot. You know, the plots up there say, you know, 3.1, 4, 3.7, 3.85 for Athens, but look up there in the mountains, and where you have that significant plot of, I think I checked it before I started this video, it's at 7 inches, and that is where, that specific plot right there is where the Oostenaula River, yeah, where that one first starts as the Coosawattee before it gets into Calhoun. So I said this yesterday, that the rain that falls in the mountains is going to have a huge impact, you know, a couple of days later as it gets to the dams that it flows into, and then these people realize, well, shit, we got to open up, you know, we can't let the dam overflow, so they have to open it up. And if that, you know, the river downstream of it is already close to flooding stage, or even, you know, minor flooding, and I've got the I've got some river forecast later on in this thing, so you know, I worked hard on this time actually, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Is some of these rivers already they're pretty close for flooding. It's not like catastrophic flooding by any means, but it's not good either. So the max you're going to see, and a lot of this is going to be localized. These models right here based the precip off of the simulated radar, and I've got some of that coming up too, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So don't take this as gospel right here. What this is saying, you know, this is just an idea. But as you can tell down there in Florida, you know, almost 11 inches. You know, South Georgia over 12 inches. You tell that, I mean, this is where the model just maxes out, and that's what happened with Harvey. Is you know, like the day before it made landfall, people had to make these models where it's, you know, told us that, hey, they're going to get like 50 inches of rain, because no one had any idea because of the models maxing out. So if you live in southeastern Georgia, you know, just just please be careful tonight and tomorrow. Okay, so here's the newest simulated radar. I don't know, it's kind of fast, but you can tell these bands when they move through. There's two of them. There's one that comes through first, and my God, this thing is way too fast for me to even tell you a good time because it's in Zulu. So I think the first band's going to come around. What time is it right now? Should be here in about 2 hours actually. The second band's going to come through around sometime tomorrow. I mean, who knows? This thing is going to change, you know, its speed for sure and its intensity and all that. So pretty much is that we're guaranteed a couple of hurricane bands with a lot of heavy precipitation that's going to have that specific placement. I made this one a little bigger at this time so you can see those little tornado tracks that are, there's little weird black circles. That's pretty much where the model thinks there's going to be a tornado. That doesn't mean that's going to be a massive tornado on the ground. It's just those are rotating cells, and they last all the way through Columbia, South Carolina. So South Carolina can be on standby for tornadoes tomorrow for sure. Okay, so here's the actual a nice pretty picture for impacts. Top two are temperatures and bottom two are winds. So highs tomorrow, you know, upper 60s for the most part. I mean, standard 66, 67, 66. As you get down into southeast Georgia, it's going to be 82. They should get sun. They should have the sun come out, which is great for them. However, northern Georgia, I'm not too sure. I mean, the simulated infrared satellite, I don't really trust that thing because, like I said, this thing is going to change the way it moves pretty quickly as the night goes on. But if it gets stalled out, and even if it's not like it gets stuck like Harvey got stuck, if it gets stuck at all, those clouds are going to stick around even if the precip doesn't stick around. And that's a big deal as far as flooding and, you know, getting all the extra water to evaporate. So the lows, you know, same as before, upper 50s for the most part for northern Georgia. You know, that's definitely below average, but like I said in the last video, it's not going to be a nice, you know, clear skies 58. It's going to be a moist and god-awful 58 is what it's going to be. It's going to be gross. For the winds, still tropical storm force. Rome's looking at 39 sustain. Marietta's 39. Atlanta Metro, same, 38 to 39. Athens area is 37. For the gust, Rome's looking at 55. Marietta's looking at 55. The whole Atlanta metro area is looking at 55 mile an hour gusts actually, and Athens is looking at 52. Now this is what the National Weather Service makes, so that doesn't mean it's right, but it's, you know, this is human made right here, so it's not a model really, as much as it looks like model output. So they could be higher, or I doubt it'd be lower. I highly doubt it's going to be lower, to be honest. Now that the track is different, I'm waiting for the 5 p.m. update. The 5 a.m. update, which is a full update, not an intermediate one. So we'll be able to get some a better look at winds as the night goes on. Okay, so here's the rivers, and I'm glad I found this data. So the first one is a river near Athens. I'm not too sure where that is, but look how high it's going to get on. You see what I'm talking about? That's Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, after the precipitation's gone, it's going to get up to 21 feet and flood stages at 16. That's a big deal. And, you know, like I said, the people that live near rivers, you know, please be ready, because that's, look how fast it happens, how fast it crests. I mean, that's within 12 hours right there. And I would say getting up to moderate flood stages, that's a big deal for sure. Chattooga is looking at minor flooding for this is the Chattooga River. I'm not too sure where that is. I have USGS maps, so if you have any questions about river placement, I'll be glad to get a picture of it for you. So that way, if you have any concerns, I'll let you know. They'll be almost up to minor flooding stage, so at 14 feet. The Oostanala River at Rome. This one is, I think they took this off of Highway 140, near Old Dalton Road. I'm pretty sure. They're not looking at flooding. The forecast, their flood stage is at 19 feet, where it says on here 25 feet. I'm not too sure what action means, so maybe hydrologists could inform me on that. I'm not too sure at all. The North Oconee River at Athens is looking at, I guess, action. Stand by. I guess that's what that means. I don't know, but 13 feet when it crests, so no big deal there. The Etowah River, currently it's at 15 feet, and that's at the Georgia One Loop, so right next to the baseball stadium for you guys in Rome. Flood stage is at 32 feet, so no worries. No worries there. You guys know how big that bridge is, and we're always used to it being on drought mode, so yeah, don't worry about that. The Broad River, that is east of Athens. I'm not too sure of the county east of us, so past Winterville. They might be looking at minor flooding, which is at 15 feet. So yeah, if you want me to get any more river information, if you're concerned about your hometown, that goes for anywhere, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, it doesn't matter. I'll get the data for you and let you know personally. But these are just ones that caught my eye. There was a few more that caught my eye, but I didn't really have room for them, so I think that's it actually. Yep. Okay. For those of you who don't know, I was a forecaster in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I did aviation, worked at Cherry Point, doing flight weather briefs, and then for a little bit actually, only for a few months, and then I went to 2nd Intel Battalion for 3 years, and I worked in a skiff. Did super secret squirrel, top secret stuff. Didn't see the sun all day for 3 years. That was great time. Honestly, it was a great time, best time of my life. I originally went to school in Biloxi, Mississippi at Keesler Air Force Base. That is where the hurricane hunters for the Air Force are stationed. And yeah, my barracks is right next to the airfield, so when they started up that C-130 to go take off, it was very loud, and my experience in the Marine Corps has taken me a long way, and now I'm a student at University of Georgia, undergrad, on the struggle bus here. But yeah, I'm an atmospheric science major and pharmacology minor, if you just wanted to know. Alright, well, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay safe out there.